Hassan, you are recognized for your questions.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, and I want to thank you and the ranking member not only for this hearing, but for sharing your own thoughts and sympathies to the Enzi family today. Mike Enzi was a valued colleague and friend, and he will be deeply and sorely missed. I also want to thank the Secretary for being here today. And Mr. Secretary, I do have a number of questions for you, but I wonder if you would like a minute or so to respond to anything that Senator Johnson did not give you an opportunity to respond to just now.
Senator, thank you for that opportunity. Let me be brief. Individuals whom we encounter at the border, some of them are expelled under Title 42, which is a Centers for Disease Control Public Health Authority. It is not an authority of the Department of Homeland Security. Those who are not expelled under that public health law are actually placed into immigration enforcement proceedings under United States law, where they can make a claim for humanitarian relief under our laws. If their claim is found to be valid, they are entitled to stay under the law. If their claim is not found to be valid, they are removed from the United States, again, consistent with United States law. We have a plan underway to address the surge of migrants at the border, a surge that began in April of last year. It is a periodic surge that we have encountered for many, many years in the absence of immigration reform and the opportunity to fix our immigration system once and for all. But we are using the authorities that we have wisely and also in unprecedented ways to rebuild our immigration system after its dismantling in the prior administration. And we are making and taking measures that have not been taken before, that are long overdue, and we're doing whatever we can within our authorities, and we hope that Congress will act as well. That is the fundamental change that is needed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary. Now, on to my questions. I was encouraged to see that U.S. Customs and Border Protection's budget included a $14 million increase for the National Vetting Center's budget, which will allow the center to expand vetting capabilities. I was disappointed, though, that the department's budget does not include any additional funding to continue expanding the visa security program. I strongly support the visa security program because it allows DHS to interview and vet individuals long before they arrive in the United States. So, Mr. Secretary, the department's budget request is an opportunity for it to expand and integrate its critically important screening and vetting programs in a thoughtful way. How will the department continue to do that using programs like the National Vetting Center and the Visa Security Program?
Senator, I appreciate your concerns with respect to the visa security program, and I'd welcome the opportunity to speak with you further about it and discuss our budget request in that regard. We are looking very carefully not only at the vetting process and eyes on data, but also how we can use data analytics and new technology to create greater efficiencies and actually save money while advancing our security obligations. And so I do look forward to speaking with you further about the concerns that you have, that we share, and how we are addressing them most effectively.
Thank you. I would look forward to that as well. Now I want to turn to a topic that Senator Peters also raised, because I was pleased that last week the Canadian government announced that it would permit vaccinated Americans to travel to and from Canada beginning on August 9th. But I am disappointed, as Senator Peters is, that the Department of Homeland Security announced that U.S. borders would remain closed even to vaccinated Canadians for another month. This border closure continues to impact families and local economies in New Hampshire and all around the country, and I appreciate, too, that in your testimony just now you recognize that. But given that the Canadian vaccination rate recently surpassed the rate we have here in the United States, what is the department's rationale for extending the restrictions?
So if I may, Senator, as I mentioned in response to Chairman Peters' question, I spoke with Minister Blair of Canada about this. and he was aware because we communicate very closely and coordinate. He was aware that I would be issuing the renewal of our Title 19 authority to restrict travel between our countries. But one thing that that renewal articulates is very important, and that is that though the renewal of the travel restrictions is in effect for another 30 days, should the public health enable us to lift travel restrictions in any way before the expiration of that 30-day period, we do have the authority to do so. And what we are doing is looking at it on a day-to-day basis, understanding the concerns that the chairman expressed and that you have echoed now.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'm going to interrupt you here just in the interest of time. I'm going to urge you, though, to not extend the border closure any longer than it already has been. And you've talked about some of the steps that the department is taking to ensure that you're making the analysis correctly. I don't understand the public health analysis given the Canadian vaccination rates and given that they're just allowing vaccinated Americans in, we could do the same reciprocally. I would urge you to take the steps you need to be prepared to open the border to vaccinated Canadians as quickly as you can. Let me move on to one more topic, though, before my time expires. The opioid epidemic continues to ravage communities in New Hampshire and all across the United States. DHS is focused on disrupting and dismantling international drug trafficking organizations. Unfortunately, those organizations have also shown themselves able to adapt and exploit the predictable procedures at U.S. borders. For example, drug trafficking organizations use pedestrian border crossings, concealing drugs on many people, knowing that CBP doesn't have the ability to intercept more than a fraction of those drugs. These organizations also smuggle money and guns out of the United States to exploit CBP's minimal outbound screening. So, Mr. Secretary, what's the department doing to deploy new technologies and procedures to increase detection capabilities? And are there additional resources or technologies that DHS needs at the border that can stop drug trafficking organizations from smuggling drugs into the U.S.?
Senator, this is a very, very important question. I respectfully request an opportunity to answer it. The scourge of drugs in the United States has been a problem for many, many years. In fact, in 2020, last year, saw a 30% increase in fentanyl overdoses in the United States over the year prior, over 2019. We are very focused on this. Not only are we continuing to invest in technology at our borders and border modernization, because interestingly and importantly, the narco traffickers seek to move the greatest amount of drugs through the ports of entry, and that is where our apprehension efforts are also focused, as well as in between the ports of entry and by air and by sea. But we are investing in technology, and we are developing strategies, investigative and prosecution strategies, to attack the narco traffickers. Operation Sentinel, which is a concerted effort across our department, a new effort, is focused on following the money and tearing down the infrastructure of these criminal organizations. We are doing a lot across the board, and I'd be very pleased to provide further details to you and your staff at the earliest possible opportunity for you.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate the chair's indulgence in letting me go over time. Thank you, Mr. Secretary, and thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Hassan. Senator